Hi, I'm Jay Sportster, and welcome back to another video of Backyard RC. And this is my dad.
Hey.
And what we'll be talking about today is batteries. So let's get a closer look. Alright, we've got a much closer look, and what we'll be covering is milliamps, C rating, and voltage, and what the type of battery it is.
Yeah, and a little bit how it's constructed and everything.
Yep.
So I guess we can start with the type of battery.
Yeah.
It's, they're called Lipos. That's an abbreviation for lithium polymer.
Yeah.
And it's just a modern way of making batteries, and they can store a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And they're powerful and lightweight.
Yeah.
And so they work really good for airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, batteries were too heavy to use in an airplane, really, because you just couldn't get enough power for the amount of weight. And so most of the airplanes were gas powered.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the number of cells and how the cells are constructed in this one?
Yeah. So the way it works with lipos is, I guess in this one, but each cell is stacked on top of each other like thin little wafers. And in this one, there would be three thin little cells stacked up on top of each other. And of course, the more cells, the more are stacked upon each other.
Yep, and so each cell in there is kind of like its own little battery, in a way. And they're all connected together to make one big battery. And so each cell has its own voltage, and for these type of lipo batteries, each cell is going to have about 3.7 volts. That's the nominal voltage. So nominal just means it's not charged all the way up, and it's not discharged all the way either. So it's kind of like right in the middle.
Yeah, and
if they're charged all the way up, how much voltage would each cell have?
4.2 volts. And all that together would be 12.6.
Yeah.
For a 3-cell.
Yep. Because they connect the cells in series so that the voltage stacks basically on top of each other.
Yep.
And they add up, so you end up with 12.6 volts if it's fully charged, and that's kind of how they're constructed.
Yeah.
What about these wires hanging out on the end here? What are those for?
Well, this wire right here is your power lead that connects to your ESC. You've got your positive and your negative. Then this little lead right here is your balance port. And you've got your black wire, which is the ground, and these other 3 wires are your 3 cells. And what the balance port is mainly used for is to plug into your battery. There's most of them, there's little slots you plug the balance port into the side, and it'll balance charge your battery, so all 3 cells will be the exact same. Because if they are not, it's gonna blow up.
Yeah, so your battery charger will have a little port in the side that you plug this into, and when you charge it, you would select balance charge.
Yeah.
And so as it's charging, it's always reading each one of these cells, and it makes sure that they all get charged to exactly the same voltage.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep. And so that's because there's a lot of wires there, and the batteries I had when I was a kid, they usually just have 2 wires. So this one has extras, and it can be confusing. Next, let's talk about capacity. We didn't talk about that yet.
Yeah, which is milliamp hours. And what that's going to be like is the gas tank of your battery, sort of, if you think about it. It's going to determine how long it'll last for.
Yeah, it's like a tank. If you're thinking in terms of like water and pipes or a gas tank in a car, it's basically how much electricity this battery will hold. And it's always in right here, 2200 mAh, which stands for milliamp hours, or 2.2, which would be amp hours.
Yeah.
So a milliamp is, there's 1,000 milliamps in 1 amp. So that just means that if you were discharging this battery, or draining the tank, if you're thinking of it as like a tank of water, you could discharge it at 2.2 amps, so that the amps would be flowing out of this red wire here. So you could discharge it at 2.2 amps for 1 hour, and then the battery would be empty.
But since you're with most planes, you're probably with a battery this size, you're going to be drawing about what, 20 amps or so.
Yeah, you could be drawing 20 amps, 30 amps. You know, so it's gonna give you more like probably what, 10 minutes,
Yeah,
12 minutes flight time.
that's what I normally get.
Yeah, and when you're flying, it makes a big difference if you can fly at a like half throttle.
Yeah, that's the normal cruising speed.
Yeah, you get a lot more flight time. If you're always on at full throttle, it's gonna kill it pretty quick.
Yeah. So, what should we talk about next?
Why don't you go over voltage?
Okay. What voltage is it's going to be like the pressure that's pushing out the milliamps.
Yeah, it's the pressure that's pushing the electrons out of the wire.
Yeah.
You're thinking of it, relating it to like a water system with a hose or something.
So it's the amount of pressure going through those pipes.
Yep. And
Now, is there anything else really to talk about voltage?
well, we already talked about the the voltage needs to be the same in all three cells. That's why we balance charge.
Yeah.
Probably one other big thing is that these batteries here. Each cell cannot go below 3 volts. If you go below 3 volts, they're gonna
Blow up.
They're gonna blow up. I mean, they'll get hot, they'll smoke, they'll catch on fire.
And they regenerate heat. They do not like
Yeah,
to
and
go out.
you can't hardly put them out once they get started burning. And so, normally what most people do is you don't want to discharge these down below about 3.5 volts per cell.
Yeah.
So, in this battery, that would be about how much total voltage then? That'd be like
you don't want to discharge it below like
10.5 volts, something like
yeah.
that. Okay, you might be able to go down to like 3.3 per cell, and you'd still be okay, keep you above 3. But a lot of people just stick with 3.5 and then shut her down.
Yeah.
So, that way your battery lasts a long time. You don't have any danger of fire or anything like that.
Yeah. And there are lots of different voltages too. I mean, here's just some of the voltages. There are different.
Yeah, it's just the voltage
Yeah.
of the battery overall is just how many cells it has.
Yeah.
All
Like-
these little wafers in here, like we said, are going to be like 3.7 volts nominal each.
Mhm.
And so, like one of the first batteries we got was the 2-cell. It was only 7.4 volts.
3-cell.
And most of the ones we have now are 3-cell.
Yeah.
Now that you can have like a physically small battery that was 2-cell, or a physically small battery that's 3-cell, or you could have a great big battery that's 3-cell. And the voltage would be the same, but the capacity would be much higher on a bigger battery.
Yeah.
So it might be like a 4400 or a...
But even with a battery that big, you would have to have at least a 3 or 4 cell
Yeah.
or above. But usually on little tiny batteries, they're usually 1 to 2 cell at the most. You wouldn't even want to go to 3 cell.
Yeah, there's just not a need for it, really.
Well, it would burn up your wires.
Yeah.
And for most really big airplanes, they're usually like 6 to 10 cells. Or not 10 cells, sorry, but 6 cells or so.
Yeah. All right, so I guess next we could talk about the C rating.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Whoops.
Alright, C rating?
Yeah, the C rating, if you look here on the battery, it says 20 to 30 C discharge. What the C rating is that's the maximum rate you can discharge the battery at without damaging it or shortening the life of it.
Yeah.
And the C rating is always in amp hours instead of milliamp hours. And it just means, so if we go over here, this is a 2.2 amp hour battery. And so what it means is that you could discharge it at 20 times 2.2 amps and the battery will be safe. It won't damage it. It'll work just fine. You can do that until the battery's empty. You can do it for 10 minutes if you want, until the battery doesn't have anything left in it.
Yeah.
Or until it gets to its low voltage. Okay, so in this case, it would be 2.2 times 20, and that would be 44 amps. So you could safely discharge this battery at 44 amps continuously.
Yeah, and that's a pretty cool trick that a friend taught me.
Yeah. Now, you notice there's a dash and then it says 30C, so it's 20 to 30C discharge. So what that means is that you can discharge it at 20C continuously.
Yeah.
Or you can discharge it at 30C.
For about 10 seconds.
Yeah, no more than about 10 seconds.
It's just a burst if you're in trouble and you need to power out of something, or you need a fast takeoff.
Yeah, you're taking off or something happens.
It's just a burst.
Yep.
A burst of power.
And so if you take your 2.2 amp hours and you multiply that times 30, that would give you 66 amps. So you could safely discharge this battery at 66 amps for a short time, less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If you do it for more than 10 seconds, then the battery can get hot and it can start to damage the battery. Could smoke, catch on fire, stuff like that. So you don't want to, keep it at that high discharge rate for very long.
Yeah.
All right, did we miss anything?
I don't think we did. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, so we just talked real quickly about the construction, the number of cells, the voltage in each cell, the capacity.
Which is milliamp hours.
Yeah, it's in milliamp hours. This one's 2200. And the type of battery.
Lipo.
And then we also talked about the C rating.
Yep.
So we hope this helps you out. And
yeah. If there's anything we've missed, post in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yep, talk to you later.
Alright, bye.